if you are thinking about becoming cloud security engineer, you are on a right place because the careers in cloud security can fetch you really good money and give you a trajectory to expand your reach, get promoted, become a leader. In this video, I'm going to talk about 10 steps, a roadmap. If you cross top 5, you are already there to get a great job. But after 5, you become advanced, you become staff, you become a leader. But why me? Why I am talking about this? Because I became cloud security architect through a path. I spent almost 15 to 20 years securing large enterprises, building their platform security teams, building their private cloud platforms, and then taking them to cloud. So if you are in this journey, your first step is learning cloud basics. Learning the building blocks of cloud. What is cloud? Cloud is basically virtualization of host machines and creating a logical compute instances which are then rented through internet via API. So you need to understand virtualization from the heart if you want to work in cloud architectures and secure them. Then you need to understand storage. What happens in cloud? Data gets stored. There are many storage options in cloud and you need to understand them, right? That's how you will be able to secure. Because at the end, in cloud security, your end goal is to secure the data which is stored in these storage devices. So if you know how to secure the data in S3, you are on a path to become cloud security engineer. You need to know networks, obviously, because in public cloud, you have to create virtual networks so that your workloads or your compute can stay in it. You need to understand VPCs and subnets and egress or ingress traffic connections and how to secure. Because at the end, as a cloud security engineer or professional, your job is to be securing the data at rest and securing the data at transit. So you understand the cloud basics. Then once you know the building blocks of the cloud, then move on to automation. Once you understand how the scripts run, you can write infrastructure as a code, which is like Terraform or CloudFormation or any other framework comes in the future. Learning programming, learning scripting gives you a lot of edge. But if you don't know programming, I would still urge you to learn how to script. If you know scripting, you can understand the tool, and understanding the tool gives you lots of leverage to get to the problems faster, right? You can build faster. And if you don't know scripting, it would be a little harder for you. If you do that, your base is ready. Then number 3, you need to know security foundations. And I would say if you are aspiring to be a cloud security engineer, you might already understanding security foundations, authentication, authorization, single sign-on, federation, top 10 vulnerabilities, how to manage your vulnerabilities. These are security fundamentals which you need to know to go to a path to become that person you want to become. Then number 4, compute deep dive. Understand the security in cloud is, apart from data and storage, also depend on where your application is running. And in cloud, most of the application runs in containers. There are many of the applications which runs on EC2 instances too, but mostly it's the Kubernetes or EKS. These are the services which most of the customers are going to be utilizing because of the elasticity, resilience, and operational capabilities of those services. As a security engineer, you need to know the intricacies of Kubernetes and compute within any cloud. For example, in AWS, you have EC2s, you have Lambdas, and you have container services. You need to understand deeply how compute works to secure it. If you don't know how the secrets manager in Kubernetes is integrated into its pods and nodes, how can you secure it? So you need to understand the architecture. Then number 5, a security engineer also need to understand how the pipelines, how the supply chain is working for an enterprise, how the code is developed and shipped. You need to know how DevOps work because the CI/CD pipelines are the ones which you will be securing. You need to know how CI/CD pipeline works, how you can embed your tooling, alerting, and detection, and then remediation into the pipelines. Then once you have the fundamentals of cloud, DevOps, security, compute, you also need to understand how basically the security in cloud works. In cloud, the most important service is identity and access. In cloud security, identity and access management is your bread and butter. In the world of AI, where you have agents which will be running in containers and they will be utilizing APIs, there are multiple layers of identity. Switching contexts, then talking to other agents. Identity and access management is one thing which can give you a lot of leverage in future because the base of whole AI security is going to be identity and access. It's going to be zero trust model in agentic AI communication, agent-to-agent protocols, working in a loop where humans are not connected for days. You need to understand how these agents are calling each other, what kind of identities, what kind of impersonations they are using to set up a context so that an enterprise can understand what is a rogue agent and what is not. In traditional sense, identity is defined how you will be accessing resources, but in future, identities would be the baseline of security. So in cloud security, identity and access management is your main weapon. And after that, you need to understand how the network security works, right? You need to, again, secure the VPCs. You need to understand how VPC endpoint policies and egress tools and policies there define your data protection posture so that you can avoid the ransomware attacks, right? As a cloud security professional, your number one challenge would be to mitigate and respond to ransomware attacks, right? Apart from identities and network, you also need to understand how the risk and compliance works, right? The digital business is based on compliance. And if the compliance is broken, imagine if federal customer is not following NIST CSR. It's not going to get grants from federal government anymore. Your business is going to go down. As a security professional, you need to make sure that your customer is compliant. And for that, you need to understand what is compliance, what are the different controls, how the risk is mitigated, how the risk is quantified. And that requires deep understanding of compliance. And then as a cloud security professional, you need to understand a lot of tooling. Tooling is very important in cloud. There is an enterprise can run in multiple clouds. And they also use on-prem. There is no segregation of boundaries as such. You create logical boundaries. And to have those boundaries always managed under detection framework, you need to make sure that you understand how the tooling works. With this, the number 7 is you need to understand different attack vector surface areas for your domain. How can your network, how can your infrastructure be compromised? So if you are an AI security engineer, you should know how your LLM can be compromised through indirect prompt injections or data poisoning. These are attack surface areas. And then number 8, if you understand the attack surface area, you also need to understand how can you respond to incidents if the attack really happens. As a security engineer, you understand that your environment might be vulnerable to a key theft. And once your keys are compromised, you know that there is a ransomware attack which can happen. Now, as an engineer, you need to make a plan to respond to those kinds of attacks, right? As a senior architect, you would be sitting in those calls where if your environment is breached, how you will contain it. So you need to write incident response plans in case the attack happened. Then number 9 is operations. For a security professional, it's also very important to understand how your SOC works. When your SOC works, how the alerting, how the on-call, how the response of different events will be handled. So why you need to understand SOC? Because if you understand SOC, then you can tie it together with business units across the enterprise and bring efficiencies. Because what would be the end goal for you if you are looking at SOC? Your end goal would be to reduce the MTTR, which is like mean time to respond if something happens. So if you can make the life of person who is on call and he got a call at 2 a.m. that some alert went off, if you can make his life or her life easy, you are a winner. Then finally, the number 10, which is the final destination for a cloud security engineer, is the leadership. As a cloud security engineer or an architect, you have a bird eye view of many things in an enterprise. Different business units, you know what tech is going to be used. If you are super aware about your own aspirations, you can really become a leader. You can become a CISO, you can become a CIO, and bring that security perspective into that board. So these are the 10 steps you can take to become a cloud security engineer or an architect or a leader. My name is Amit and I'm an ex-AWS security architect. All I did in my life is securing enterprise workloads in cloud and on-prem. This video is for all of you. Thank you so much for watching me and giving me all the love.